The Moulin Rouge Agreement, which finally desegregated the Las Vegas Strip, is a living symbol and tribute to the struggle of equality and civil rights in Nevada.
And this was at a time when Sammy Davis Jr., which we're all celebrating today, not celebrating, but honoring, was not allowed to participate in those hotels, to do anything other than entertain. And I remember when my dad would walk in, he'd grab Sammy Davis's arm and they would walk in together. And nobody in that hotel was going to tell my dad that they couldn't do that. But that was just one guy trying to do what he thought was right. When you walked outside of that environment, we all know what it was like. We all know that there were places like the Harrison House that sprung up on the west side just because there weren't too many Hank Greenspuns in those days.
President of the Nevada Black Historical Society. Wave to everyone.
Yeah. My dad respected Bob to the hilt, and Bob made that place work, and he made sure everybody who worked and was part of the Moulin Rouge treated everybody else, and no difference, their skin color, whatever, that they were all treated as guests. And that was the difference between the Moulin Rouge and every other place in town at the time. He wrote, "I like the Moulin Rouge Hotel. I like what it stands for. As a citizen of Las Vegas, I appreciate the efforts of the operators and hope they will be most successful." Well, we all know the brief history of the Moulin Rouge, but we cannot ignore its greatest success. The agreement which bears its name ended segregation on the Las Vegas Strip and allowed this city to grow to international prominence. That would not and could not have happened but for that agreement and for that hotel, and especially for the dynamic and brave people who you are honoring.
This agreement ended segregated hotels in Las Vegas. As such, we stand firm in advocating equal access and inclusion for everyone, and wherein under I have set my hand and affixed the seal of the state of Nevada, and I give it to you because you could be mayor.
Soran Knight Reddy. And embracing or shaking hands. Yes. Yes,
wonderful. We are different people because we have different cultures and different heritage and different beauties. But this is Las Vegas, and we are one people. One people. In New York City, where I grew up, there were a lot of factions. This is Las Vegas, we're one people.
Now, Katherine Duncan and I were asked to be partners in a bridge ceremony at the National Women's Federation Assembly in Maryland this past fall. We spent 6 hours getting to know each other, to come together to bring our backgrounds, our races, our life experience together. What was this done for? For economic gain of the slave owners, for greed, for power. I accept responsibility for my ancestors' actions. And I've learned through my sisters that we need to admit what happened, and we need to educate our children, and we need to confess. We talk about the Holocaust in Germany. We talk about the bomb dropped in Hiroshima, and we teach about wars. But it's too hard for us to admit to ourselves that we actually have done the same things here.
Kim, I don't hate you. I do hate what your ancestors did. The spirit of my ancestors still cry and rage. Yes, we were crucified for hundreds of years, raped, hung, whipped, chained, lynched, and our families were broken apart. And yet there are still disparities in America. While blacks make up 3/4 of the prison population, we're less than 1/4.
I would whisper love so loudly, every heart could understand. The love and only love can join the tribe of man. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. First step is to realize that all of love begins with me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I think it's time. I think it's been too long.
This day is to be recognized as a day of diversity and inclusion. And whereas 1971 consent decree is to be recognized as ending discrimination in the workplace, whereas Harrison House is recognized as a historic landmark by the city of Las Vegas. And whereas Nevada Black history is an integral part of Nevada's official history books, now I, the mayor of the great city of Las Vegas, county of Clark, state of Nevada, hereby proudly proclaim March 26, 2014 is the Moulin Rouge Agreement Day.
All right.
In the city of Las Vegas and
It's our finest hour. We can do anything, anything, everything, everything. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Ooh, say it. Love can build a, love can build a bridge between your heart, ooh, between your heart and mine.
The bridge is not solving the problems. But when we go across the bridge, we are saying, for one, that we repent that we have not come further. We repent for what has happened in the past, offer gratitude that we live in a time where actually we can make a change. There is that forum, there is that foundation now. The thing is, what are we going to do with it? And then make a new determination.
Peace that was meant to be. Peace that flies away. And peace begin with me. Let this be our moment now. Summer, and let it begin with me.
very much.
Baby, round and round we go. Don't you know, don't you know? Baby, round and round we go. Where we stop and go, I know. Yeah, well, it's a pain of the scene, the moving out, and it's just right there, and leave the dance with a shout, so work out. Now when I say work out, we gotta work out one more time, you ready?
So my grandson's got blonde hair and blue eyes. I tell you, the Lord sure knows how to play, Joe. Please help me say thank you to them. So please help me give them a big old thank you.